What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to make a video talking about Israel Adesanya's career for the future. We all know that he just lost to Dricus du Plessis at UFC 305 in Perth, Western Australia. But truly, what is this fight going to be, considering that Israel Adesanya, or what is his career going to be, considering that Israel Adesanya is one of the most accomplished UFC fighters the sport has right now? He was a middleweight champion for forever. He's defended the title against Robert Whittaker. He's done Jared Cannonier, the Marvin Vettori's. He's kind of done that old generation of fighters. He's fought some of the new generation like Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis, and he's lost both of those fights. But Israel Adesanya is kind of at the the back portion of his career, and I just kind of want to talk about today what he could do to possibly get himself back in the title picture and what he can do to save his career, and kind of outline what Israel Adesanya's next future fights could possibly be. If you guys enjoy the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe just to help out the channel grow. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always notified when UFC content releases. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video outlining Israel Adesanya's UFC future, what he could do to possibly regain the belt, and how he can jump right back into a title fight. So Israel Adesanya, as we all know, just lost the belt at UFC 305 against Dricus du Plessis in an actually really good fight, in a fight that was very 50-50 in my opinion. And Dricus du Plessis went in there and got the rear naked choke finish in that fourth round, which I did end up picking Dricus. I just didn't pick by finish. I don't know exactly what I did pick, but Dricus du Plessis ended up going in there and beating Israel Adesanya, and that could kind of put Israel Adesanya back to the drawing board. And he has just recently come out and said that he wants to fight again at the end of 2024 or at the start of 2025. He has made it very clear that he still wants to stay active inside the organization, just not as active as he previously was. So kind of getting 2 to 3 fights a year, kind of being like a normal activity fighter compared to the Israel Adesanya who is defending 3 to 4 times a year. But what do I think Israel Adesanya needs to do to be able to jump right back into title contention? Because a big thing about title contention is that name that you possess. Someone like Jared Cannonier in that middleweight division had to fight himself and put on an amazing performance against Derek Brunson to even be in consideration for the title, and he had to take that fight kind of on a short notice, I shouldn't say a short notice, but on a very quick turnaround on Israel Adesanya's schedule whenever he wanted to. And that was a fight that occurred at UFC 276 at International Fight Week, after him and Adesanya fought previously on UFC 271. So Jared Cannonier, being a smaller fight, is going to have a very long road back to the title compared to someone like Israel Adesanya, who has the name recognition. So I genuinely think that one amazing win for Israel Adesanya, one knockout win, would propel him right back to the title, because he's one of the UFC's biggest stars. But I do think, to be safe, I kind of want to outline a 2-fight plan for someone like Israel Adesanya to go and capture the title. And I think that first fight goes against Kyle Brahalo at the end of the year, and I think that would be an incredibly hard fight for Israel Adesanya, but a fight that would really be a good one to win. Worst case scenario for the UFC, Israel Adesanya loses and you have your next star in Kyle Brahalo. And another scenario, if Kyle Brahalo loses, it's to Israel Adesanya, one of the best middleweights of all time, and this kind of only hypes up his name. Kyle went in there and beat Jared Cannonier in incredible fashion at an event in August of this year. An incredible fight. Kyle Brahalo looked great, but a step up from Jared Cannonier to someone like Israel Adesanya would be massive for Brahalo, and that would allow him to possibly get that title shot that he's been chasing in the very near future. And going through someone like Adesanya, who is as credentialed as he is, going through and trying to beat someone who's as good of a kickboxer he is, would be something that would be very good. And Israel Adesanya would have a very hard time with this fight. Brahalo's got a lot better on his feet in that kickboxing realm, but he's also a great wrestler and has some jiu-jitsu in his game as well. So I do think that this would be a very good fight. And if Israel Adesanya could go in there and dispatch of Kyle Brahalo in very quick fashion, I truly think that he could jump the line to really get himself into that title picture next. But really, what would be the next fight after that? Because we have some people like Robert Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev are fighting. Sean Strickland is possibly going. And I think he should fight the loser of the middleweight title this time around, which I do believe is going to be Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. If we kind of talk about that fight happening sometime next year, you got a quick turnaround for them. But Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland 2, or Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis 2, would then elevate Izzy right back into a title shot right then and there. Because I do think that Nasruddin Imavov is possibly going to fight someone like Robert Whittaker to get the title back. But I do think that Israel Adesanya fighting the loser of Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis for the second time would also kind of be like a number one contenders match for Israel Adesanya, considering that the other person just came off the title bout. It's a very big fight that could headline a pay-per-view if you really wanted to, or be a massive 5-round co-main event on a pay-per-view. It would be a fight that all the fans would love to see, considering that the Sean Strickland fight has a history with Israel Adesanya at UFC 293, the Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis beef that's had kind of a history all the way back prior to UFC 290, but it really escalated at 290, and at 305 they were able to fight one another. So truly, that this is an amazing fight that you could have, and that you wouldn't want to even fear losing, considering that Adesanya is coming to the end portion of his career. Ultimately, Israel Adesanya inside the UFC organization has had some amazing fights, and yes, he is on a 2-fight losing streak and has lost 3 of his last 4 bouts, with that incredible victory over Alex Pereira in the middle at UFC 287 in Miami, Florida. Ultimately, Israel Adesanya is still one of the biggest UFC fighters the sport has in it currently. That pay-per-view at UFC 305 went absolutely insane, considering of all the hype coming around Dricus du Plessis and the Adesanya bout between these two individuals. Adesanya has an opportunity to become the UFC middleweight champion yet again. That's just who he is. He is one of the biggest fighters in the sports, and yes, he is an amazing mixed martial artist. He has the confidence in himself. He has all the all-around skills and abilities to be able to go out there and do everything that he wants to, and truly, he is one of those fighters that every single MMA fan wants to see fight, and no MMA fighter wants to go up against, just because he's so seasoned. He has so many different skills, and he has fought inside the organization for such a long time and accomplished the absolute most. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please let me know what you think down below in the comment section about Israel Adesanya's career possibly coming up, and what you think about this fight path for Mr. Israel Adesanya. I do think that Adesanya still has a very bright future inside the UFC organization. I do think he's one of the organization's best fighters, and truly, I do think that it's going to be such a fun opportunity to see this man come back and face someone like Kyle Brahala, which I do think is going to be his next fight, or face someone like Nasruddin Imavov, or some young star inside the organization that he hasn't faced for. Even though Adesanya's kind of had a boring championship reign, he's still an amazing fighter. Some of those fights that he had, that Paulo Costa fight, the Kelvin Gastelum fight, the Robert Whittaker fight the first time, were amazing fights for all the fans to watch. Israel Adesanya is one of the UFC's biggest stars for such a long time, and truly he has the opportunity to be coming back inside the organization to take his stardom back to the top level. He has a chance to become the UFC middleweight champion again, something that the organization would love as a whole, considering, like I said, his name is absolutely massive, and he's been one of the biggest middleweights for the longest time. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the UFC content, and if you guys want to stay updated for the most recent MMA content as it drops daily, just so you guys are always notified about the most recent MMA content. But without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.